Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I will be your friendly fixer today, because today we are going to be, we were going to be playing, excuse me, our ongoing Traveler campaign, but a number of people are out of town for, last end of summer kind of visits, or for work, or for whatever, home repairs. So we decided to make use of our day today and take out Kevin Crawford's newest Without Number game, Cities Without Number, a Cyberpunk RPG, for a spin in our not grim and dark future, that's on Fridays, but the dystopian future offered by the Cyberpunk setting. And with me are two stars of the Traveler campaign, and now stars of our Cities Without Number session. I'll go the order I've got you guys on the screen here. Why don't you tell us who you are, who you're playing, and what's your experience with the Without Number game line? First up, we've got David.
Hi everyone, I'm David. I'll be playing Street Pete, a former street worker turned wannabe fixer. About all I know about him right now. I've run Stars Without Number before. It was meant to be a small lockdown game and then turned into a 115 episode epic campaign because we enjoyed it so very much. I've read Worlds Without Number, but I've not had a chance to play it yet, so I'm quite excited for this. I'm a big fan of the Without Number system.
Very nice. And next up is James.
All right, so I'm James, and I know nothing at all about Cities Without Number, and in fact I thought it was a different game. So we're off to a great start, and I'm going to be playing different rules from everyone else.
Nice. So the game we're playing, like I said, is Cities Without Number. This is in the sort of line of Without Number games. The first was Stars Without Number, a sci-fi sandbox kind of setting, and then followed up with, I feel like 2 years ago, maybe the year before, what year? 2021, so yeah, 2 years ago, geez. It was Worlds Without Number. And then most recently, and I mean like within the last 2 weeks, is when we received the Cities Without Number. So each of these games is designed to be a sandbox that you kind of make of your own. What you there's a lot of tables and rules and mechanics to be able to kind of randomly generate setting up stuff for our particular game. I have taken a page. I guess one thing I will say is that, for one thing, we're going to get rules wrong because we only figured out we were playing this morning. So there's that. This is also the first time we're running the game, so there's going to be that. And also, we have sort of thrown together a small sandbox, and we're going to see just how the game kind of plays. So what I did this morning is, after generating some pre-gens, I took the map of the city. Let me put this on the right layer here. This is sort of the default setting out of the rule book, and what Kevin says to do is to pick one neighborhood and then to roll some elements around it to set up kind of what different things might be going on in there, what are sort of the power players, the various gangs, the various megacorps. The setting we're playing in, we're not making use of any of the magic rules that are in the back of the deluxe edition. I gave that option to the players, but I know I'm going to run Shadowrun at some point, so the players are playing strictly a cyberpunk setting right now. So this will be a quasi hard sci-fi or soft, maybe moderately hard sci-fi setting. The neighborhood I picked because it sounded cool was Fogtown, right on the top there. So I'll quickly tell you guys about Fogtown, or at least what the rulebook says. I then followed the instructions in the rulebook. Where are you here? Creating your dystopia. Thank you. And you need not do this. There's great rules for creating your own kind of version of a dystopian setting, what problems the world deals with and whatnot. So you can really mix and match, especially if you're dipping into Stars Without Number or Worlds Without Number. Like, you could have a colonized solar system using the rules from Stars Without Number, or even beyond that, if you chose to, or something with more, a little bit of fantasy, a lot of fantasy, if you're choosing to incorporate stuff from the options at the back of the book, or the material from Worlds Without Number, or the really great Codex of the Black Sun, one of my favorite of his supplements. Space Magic. Anyway, Space Magic also just makes me think of like a source book dedicated to David Bowie. So that's never a bad thing either. All right, so the city is somewhere located on Lake Michigan, but it is simply known as the city. Also referred to as New Chicago. The Fogtown District. The corp. Here's what it says in the rulebook, just to give you guys an idea of. Because I'm going to ask you about your characters in a bit here. The corps needed factories and refineries for their products, and the city's densest concentration of these factories are in Fogtown. Broad streets and local utility lines cut up blocks of maze-like factories and smoky processing centers interspersed here and there with the massive concrete hab towers that house their swarming workers. Most days, the air in Fogtown is thick enough to taste. A slight dip in the city's terrain and a screen of massive hab towers block the prevailing winds, letting the exhalations of the factories pool in the district and stain the buildings yellow and gray. Respirators are a popular fashion accessory in Fogtown, though the most impoverished workers make a point of pride out of their inability to afford them. Few Fogtowners live long enough to die of the air. The factories of the district treat them as largely expendable inputs, a certain percentage dying every year in industrial accidents or falling prey to toxic exposure. A man in Fogtown is old at 40 and ancient at 60, and probably on his second set of cybernetic lungs. Most Fogtown factories are owned by third-tier megacore subsidiaries, deniable organizations that exist purely to feed their masters. The wages are miserable, and the work can be done even by wholly unskilled labor, so they never lack for hands. The most ambitious and intelligent workers can sometimes claw their way into employment at a factory directly owned by one of the Big Seven. Working conditions in such places are substantially better, and core-financed medical care can add decades to a worker's life. The locals of Fogtown have been toying with unionizing for decades, to no profitable effect. Every time the movement starts to gain momentum, a flood of refugees or imported labor from a different district is used to dilute the local labor pool. Along with that dilution, the local gangs are almost always willing to add strike breaking to their portfolio in exchange for contributions from the factory owners. They tend to cause more collateral damage than a professional core-sponsored death squad, but a little public spectacle helps focus the minds of the locals on the dangers of union activity. When they're not cracking skulls with the core, the local gangs run protection rackets on the smaller manufacturers and tax the workers for their services in maintaining public order. Some gangs draw their membership from the workers at particular factories, with rival cores using them as proxy militias against each other. A considerable black market in stolen goods and resources also exists in Fogtown, with the gangs fighting over the control of certain recognized bazaar zones. Most of the wares sold there are cheap DRM-free cyber, pharmaceuticals to treat the myriad diseases of the locals, and bulk consumer goods lifted from loading docks and ill-guarded transports. Even so, shoppers with the right connections can get access to military-grade tech from the most heavily monitored factories in the district if the right palms are greased. The city government in Fogtown is chiefly concerned with maintaining the basic infrastructure of the district. The factories consume enormous amounts of power and water, and the mass movement of goods and materials requires a huge amount of functional transport. Core taxes fund the work, but they also need to keep the utilities running in the face of scrappers and saboteurs, the latter of which are sometimes sent by rivals to cause problems for a factory. Yeah, and that's it. So that is the neighborhood in which we find you guys. So, I mentioned...
Charming.
Yes, definitely. You'll note that there is not a respirator on either of your character sheets, I believe.
I did note that, yes.
So we are... one other mechanic I wanted to mention was heat. Because heat is something that kind of it plays with an ongoing kind of trouble. Let me find where it is here. I'm flipping through and I cannot find it. Heat. 178. There we go. It's further back than I thought. All right, heat. Operators, which PCs are called in this game, and their activities are a fact of life in a cyberpunk setting. If the megacorps were effective enough in their repression to crush such freelancers, there wouldn't be much of a game to play. So it's a given that the corps cannot feasibly get rid of all the malcontents, mercenaries, petty criminals, and opportunists who might want to work against them. Even so, there are limits to a corps' patience. Every major organization must admit the existence of a class of mercenaries willing to commit crimes for pay. But there is a difference between good, usable, reliable mercenaries and lunatics who are only a liability. This difference is expressed in heat. The more reckless, destructive, and uncontrollable an operator team is, the more heat they acquire. Currently, you guys have 0 heat. 0 heat means the cores will tend to actively avoid bothering you. Any team that can operate this smoothly and neatly is an asset to be cultivated. Your heat goes up for things like killing law enforcement, killing more than one law enforcement, killing low-ranking non-security core employees, killing branch office heads, killing regional office heads, killing corp CEOs, using frag grenades, using explosives to break through walls, blowing up buildings, causing large-scale property destruction, using lethal gases or widely dispersed poisons, ruining an important corp plan, or ruining a critical corp plan. And the way to lose it is by laying low, turning yourself in, paying fines, paying bribes. Heat is an inevitability because especially those last ones, the ruining corp plans, they tend to scheme against one another. So by servicing one master, you're pissing off another. So that is a mechanic that will come into play. I don't think this session, but it's a neat thing for a sandbox game to be keeping. The thing I didn't do for these characters, and I want you to consider as well what your backgrounds that I rolled for each of you was. Street Pete, I rolled Streetwalker for you, and I rolled Corp Mercenary, I think, or Corp Soldier. What was it?
Let me see.
Corp security. Yeah. So, what I'd like you guys first to talk a little bit about is how you think your 2 operators came together as a team or a fledgling team.
Maybe Pete had a client with a corp where I was working for the opposing one, and we worked together to embarrass the first corp, or or he heard something while carrying out his profession, which I then exploited with him. Would that work? Or something?
Yeah, I think maybe you sort of hired me for sweet talking and extracting information, and less seeing as blowing up buildings and such things. It attracts attention. Maybe you tried a more subtle approach, and we realized we have sort of skill sets that can help each other out. Seeing as if I get into a fight, I'm essentially done with. And you thankfully seem to be slightly more battle hardened, and I assume you're not as good at talking with people than I am. So maybe we realized we could have a mutually beneficial working relationship, and then so that turned into being a team.
Okay. Do you think you are both Fogtown locals?
I'm guessing no. Me, no.
Where do you think you're from?
I don't know the districts, but something that's more of a dormitory thing for the city centre.
Okay.
So I'm guessing at some point, as a corporate security agent, that you get something a bit more upmarket for.
Oh, that's really not the case.
No?
No. Yeah, you have guys who are like the extremely expensive, super skilled, whatever else too. Corporate security also has guys who are the equivalent of like they can train you and rebuild you to be a killer. Really, it's just your pliability is the real concern for the sort of grunt level. You're not an elite assassin per se. You're a pretty, like, in comparison to the average person, you're very skilled and you have lethal cybernetic enhancements. But there's also a whole bunch of people who would have those for you as well. So it's not necessarily that you were, you know, an elite soldier who was then rebuilt or whatever else. Like, you're someone who they figured out, like, well, like, you're a decent shot, but if we slap a gun link in you and we, install some off-the-shelf enhanced reflexes, you're going to be a more effective security force or security guard or security officer than, say, the guy who's just meat and blood.
All right then, Fogtown.
Okay. And for you, Pete?
Yeah, I was thinking Fogtown as well, and I'm really not made for factories and hard labor, so I found other ways of making a living and staying out of all of those hellholes.
Okay. So,
it doesn't strike me as a place where someone would willingly move to.
Probably not. No. Well, the reason I also wanted to ask about emphasize being from Fogtown for you, CZQ, is because that there's three different. One of the things they get you to do when you're setting up your district or your version of the district: roll up 3 corporations, roll up 3 gangs, roll up 3 fixers, and roll up 5 schemes to sort of get things moving within the district. So I've got 3 different corporations that I'm wondering which of these 3 you may have worked for. So first one is White & Associates, which is a computing company, but it's really what you would think of when you think of like evil cyberpunk corporations. It is murderous. It has spies all over the place. It is currently under attack and is looking to have espionage done against other rivals. So that's White & Associates. The second one is Typhoon Sciences. It is an education a corporation developed around producing education products. It is seemingly kind of lucky. As far as corporations, mega corporations go, it's a little benevolent as far as like a brainwashing corporation may be. It has a obvious idealism that other corporations that goes beyond the sort of branding and corporate loyalty that others have. But it is suffering from a bit of a civil war right now between different factions within the corporation. So that's Typhoon Sciences. And our final one is Nahuatl LLC, a construction company that has connections with Mexico. Recently, the CEO died, but it is focused on construction, and it is very blunt in its, some might say brutish, in its achieving its goals or its plans to sort of achieve its goals. So you have Nahuatl LLC, you have Typhoon Sciences, and you have White & Associates that are going to be kind of power players in our version of Fogtown.
I'd say White then.
White & Associates?
It fits with that backstory thing of how we met, sort of.
Okay, that's great. The gangs, and I don't think necessarily, Pete, you have an association with the gangs, but I'll mention the 3 that I rolled up here. One of them is the Lethe clan. Oh, I'll put them in chat too. Oh boy, the names here. Because we're going to roll up your contacts in a moment here. And Okay. And the first is here, the Lethe Clan. Lethe Clan is a family-oriented group of organ leggers. So if someone has worked past their prime, they can fall awry of the clan. Clan has links with the city, so they've got old links with the Fogtown city officials or the district officials, and they are looking to expand. They are looking for talent, or on the look for talent. So that is the Lethe clan. Family focused. Next is the Rifle Society. Rifle Society is almost a non-official corporate mercenary farm. The Rifle Society has great contacts with one of the three corporations. I'm thinking it's probably White & Associates. They actually do a fair amount of legit work, but at the end of the day, they are a gang, not a proper corporation, not a proper thing. So it's almost like having an institutionalized version of operators. And word is that they're beginning to get involved with some organized crime stuff. So from being a quasi-legitimate, mercenary company with a fairly militaristic discipline, they seem to be trending towards more overtly criminal stuff. Trending to... Oh, I cannot spell. There we go. And finally, the Buckknife Army. Buckknife Army are a relatively new gang, very much of a local protectors kind of organization. They seem to also dabble in organ legging, which also involves getting cybernetic stuff out of people. They have recently went through a bit of a, not civil war, but a bit of some trouble in the ranks that was ruthlessly crushed. And they have really strong links to one particular neighborhood in Fogtown. Of the two ones, because of the sort of rivalry between the clans, I think that the Buckknife Army is likely allied with probably hiring out to anybody, and it's the Lethe clan that is likely linked with Nawaddle LLC. But we're gonna put that in here. Buckknife Army. All right, now, do you think any of you or either of you have any contact with any of those, or history with any of those gangs or any of the corporations?
I'm guessing I'm well aware of the Rifle Society, but I'm not anything to do with them. They're all sort of heavier weapon stuff, and I'm more of the getting in close and personal and infiltration than they are. Yeah, they're more blowing crap up.
Yeah, and they are, like the type of people they would field, it sounds like, are more traditional military, like conventional forces, as opposed to the the thing. Honestly, you may have they would have been linked to White & Associates, I think. So you likely served alongside some folks who, at first you thought were just corporate security with White & Associates, and you realized after the fact, like, oh, there's a whole fucking, side association with this. What about Street Pete?
What I'm thinking is probably met people from all of them, given his previous line of work.
Yeah.
So I think he doesn't have any particularly strong affiliation with any of them, but might recognize people in any of them, or might be able to have contacts in any of them.
Yeah, I buy that. All right, so then the thing we need to roll up here before we get down to play is your contacts. Your contacts that you start with, you're going to meet contacts as over the course of the game, but what you have is there's two degrees of contacts. There's acquaintances who you know and will work with reliably, and friends who can be expected to go the extra mile for you. You start play knowing either 2 acquaintances or 1 friend.
I think I'd go 2 acquaintances.
2 acquaintances, okay?
Don't think I'd do friends.
Okay. So, and how about Street Pete?
Yeah, I think I'm probably the same. I think once again, given his background and everything, he's probably, given his line of work, not really good at making close friends or anyone he knows particularly well. He knows like a lot of people, but doesn't necessarily have any strong connections to anyone in particular.
Okay. So let's, for fun, why don't you each give us a 2d20 roll? There's some fun tables in here we'll take a look at. All right, so Street Pete, middle manager for a specific corporation. At the start of the relationship, they're highly attracted to you.
That fits in very nicely.
And then for Suzy Q, your first one, a capable drone pilot. And the start of the relationship was you once worked together on a heist or a crime. So then what you need to add is you need to give them a name, you need to give them a sentence of physical description, a sentence describing what they might be useful to, and then a line or 2 about how you met them. And then we'll do your second acquaintance. So why don't you guys take a second just to do that, and then you can tell us about who your first acquaintances are. And then we'll roll your second ones. I'm going to get myself ready here. All right. I've included, for those listening at home too, I've included a link in the description of the video to the free version of this. You can get a free PDF of this from DriveThruRPG. The only material that is not in the free version, that's in the print version or the deluxe version, is the rules for the quasi Shadowrun magic, some rules for cyberpsychosis, and some rules for specialized cyber gear. There might be one or two, like one other thing or 2 other things, but for the most part, almost all of the rules that we're using today are all, actually all of the rules, because I'm not using any of those rules in this session. So you can feel free to snag it for free for yourself. Either of you guys ready to go here?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, why don't you tell us about your first acquaintance?
I think name Haru Yakami.
Haru Yakami?
Yep.
See how well I did. Nailed it!
And I think he would middle manager for, I think, Typhoon Sciences.
Okay.
And was probably sent to Fogtown or transferred to Fogtown. So while he was new here, maybe suffering from the culture shock of going to a place like Fogtown, was looking for something to take his mind off. And just a companion to maybe he's moved away from his family to get to Fogtown.
Yeah.
And we just met in a bar somewhere or some sleazy pit somewhere.
Yeah, love it. That corporate, what do you call it, expense account isn't going to spend itself, so.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great. What about Suzy Q?
Oh, I'll have him called Fly Jones.
Fly Jones?
An 18-year-old freelance drone operator who worked for White and Associates on one job, which is where we worked, and it all went south. So.
Okay. I take it didn't go south because of his work.
No, but it was. We had to. He helped me get out of a dicey situation with the drone flying.
Love it. So Fly Jones. Awesome. Okay. Anna likes it too. All right, so we met our first 2 acquaintances. Let's do the next ones, guys. Go ahead and give us another 2d20 roll. Okay, Street Pete. A shopkeeper who fences goods. And the start of your relationship was they did a criminal favor for you. Or you did a criminal favor for them. And then Susie is the owner of a popular club. And the start of the relationship, you disposed of blackmail material for them. So I'll give you guys a moment as well to decide how you want to flesh that out. There's a great too, if you decide not to flesh it out yourself, there's one of the things that is a signature part of all the without number games is the one roll table, where you grab a d4, a d6, a d8, a d10, a d12, and a d20. You roll all of them and you just read off of the table, and it puts together whatever you're looking for. So like a one roll contact, or one roll job, or a one roll, ruin. It's really fucking cool. Okay. While you're doing that, I'm going to add a name to the fences, or add names to the fences that I rolled up before. Right. Whatever you guys are finished up to, feel free to let us know about your contact.
I think Pete's will be Rosalind, a street named Black Rose, who is a kindly, gives the appearance of being a kindly local shopkeeper, but is a fence. And I think we met when he couldn't help himself and stole something from a client that he probably shouldn't have stolen, and then realized he needed to get rid of it ASAP, and they took pity on him and gave him a good deal instead of sort of trying to cheat him out of it. So we've sort of built a rapport, and maybe occasionally when the needs are there, then other goods have found their way to Black Roses. And
love it. Okay. And for Susie Q's, whenever you're in no rush whatsoever, I'm still adding a name to some folks here. Okay. And okay. I'm cheating as well because I've got my list of names in Revised Stars Without Number.
So, owner of a popular club, and the name is Fiammetta Crucioli.
Fiammetta, if you put that in chat.
You didn't catch that?
I mean, I went to high school with Fiammetta Puccini, but I want to make sure we're... There we go.
And she runs the Roman Forum, which is a club that's also, apart from being your typical slightly upmarket club, is also in fact a data market and where people meet to transfer information. It's a marketplace, hence the name.
Okay, love it. So I think we know where you guys are gonna be hanging out then. And what do you think what was the blackmail stuff that you dealt with for her?
Now, can you remind me for a moment of the Lethe clan?
Yes, I can. The Lethe clan is a family-based group that has ties with the city, and they're organ leggers for the most part, but also involved in a bunch of other troubling things. They are allied with work with Nawaddle LLC.
Okay.
That's that British construction thing. I mean, she could very well have had run-ins with Nawaddle, and
I'm going to have that she was connected, shall we say, in inverted commas, to the wife of a leader of the Lethe clan, and that did not want that coming out, and therefore
got it. Yeah,
that was. And now we're sort of tied in with another corporation as well.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. That's great work. And that's exactly, you guys are doing a fucking awesome job of tying into the stuff that we roll up randomly. Because, like, the thing that's I think really great about these games is that, yeah, the content is randomly generated, but as soon as it occurs at the table, if you treat it like canon, then you're seeing this concrete world come together from a lot of unexpected elements. And I love that about his games. Okay. So, then... It sounds like I've got a I've limited visual assets today because I did not have a lot of time to get stuff together. But I think this is a pretty good. This is from the book itself, and Fiammetta. Okay. So let me tell you about what's been going on in Fogtown as of late, and you guys can tell us kind of what your right now, one thing I'll tell you, you're fucking broke. So, like, I think Pete may have $50 to his name. I don't think Susie has anything. So, you are running on credit and goodwill of your allies. No, Pete actually might have $125.
Yes, yeah, I do.
So he's flush. I mean,
Bye, Susie.
Here's what you know. There are 3 different fixers in town that you are aware of, if you haven't necessarily dealt with them. The 3 of them are, let's see here, Minika Asuni, who is a Nigerian-descended woman who has associations with the Lethe clan. If you cannot find work, she can almost always find work for you. She has been around forever. She dresses too young for herself, so she is kind of getting on, and still, hasn't sprung for the body mods to keep her age, her youthful appearance up, but she still dresses quite young. If you want work for the Lethe clan or by way of association, the Nawaddle LLC, then she's going to be the woman to speak to. Would you each, let's see here, let's get some dice rolling. Each give us a connect check, please. And for these ones, task resolution, when it isn't combat, in this game with skills, is always 2d6 plus certain modifiers. An 8 is like an average difficulty number. 6 is routine number. Just to give you a frame of reference for how difficulties are set in this. It's great stuff, Pete. Holy shit.
So that should be intelligence, right?
Charisma, actually.
charisma. My
Yeah.
bad. Sorry, duh.
It's sort of your networking, connected to your like networking role. Awesome. See, I see why you hang out with Pete now. Here's what you know, Pete, is she Minika Suni, this may not be a surprise. It's not a well concealed secret that she will betray people. So she'll always have work for you. She's got great connections, but you're going to be running. You will be having to weigh that against the likelihood of her betraying you. The next fixer you know of is actually a newer face to the area, a guy named Cesar Vera. Oh, I'll put it in, hold on, chat too. Inika Asuni. Here we go, dresses too young. There you go. Next up is Cesar Vera. Cesar likewise has contacts with the gang, although it's probably the Buckknife Army for him. There's not a lot of history with here, but let's see. Why don't you guys each give us a connect roll again? So I think with our rolls here, we know, Pete, you're the one who's got the real contact to Minika. Or Minika. Pete, unsurprisingly, seems to know a lot of folks. Cesar, what you have gained is that Cesar is just a little too optimistic. By which I probably means that when he tells you the particulars of a job, it's probably a little worse than what you're expecting. So there may be some filling between the lines that need to be done on account of whether that's inexperience on his part, whether it's intentional obfuscation, who knows.
I'm sure he uses lines like minimal security guards will be fine.
Totally, yeah. Snobs know when we can. Everyone sleeps and they're all, All right. Here we go. New guy. To Buckknife Army. And final fixer is goes by the name Shen Greydog, and you can give us a connect again. Come on, Susie. It's your time to shine.
Oh, right, connect. There we go.
Here it comes. No. So this one you don't know as well. Shen Greydog is a hacker. He's someone who more deals with the, hacking or computer crime or network crime. He seems to have connections with ethnically he is Chinese, but it's not clear what his foreign connections are, but he certainly has connections with some kind of either foreign mega corporation or foreign government, likely mega corporation. So he often hires there. He pays very well, and he has a very, for a hacker, he's that kind of hacker who knows, like, he's 60 pounds soaking wet, but knows every, caliber of gun. He knows all the military jargon and uses all military jargon. So that's kind of Shen in a nutshell. You rolled... So Pete, it's unclear. You know that he pays well. Like the jobs do pay fairly well, but he definitely has contacts to someone not only outside of Fogtown, but outside of the city. And there's always an element when you're taking work as an operator of not knowing where your goal fits within the larger scheme of things. But because neither of you guys are hackers and neither of you guys are necessarily involved in like international espionage kind of stuff, the jobs you'd get from some of the others might be like go and assist someone with so-and-so, or like kill somebody or whatever, steal something, acquire some things. His stuff is always fairly more, the jobs he offers seem innocuous. Collect a black box from X place, deliver it into so-and-so's office and ensure that it's there within X amount of meters, but no more than Y amount of meters. And then leave it. Or pick up something from one restaurant and deliver it to a man, operating in the 6th office on the 4th floor, and make sure you're not seen going in or out. It's stuff that you can't really fathom where it fits into to a bigger picture. So it pays well, but it's very shady, or not shady, but it's
opaque.
Opaque. Thank you. That's the word I was struggling for. As to how it fits into the bigger picture. So here we go. Hacker, foreign ties, insufferable millspeak. So those are the 3 folks who you certainly know you can hit up to get jobs. Here's the things that seem to be. This is the scuttlebutt you've heard in Fogtown as of yet. And I like these bigger picture things. It's similar to something I've talked about Soulbound, with this whole thing of like the idea of feeling that something's coming or something's going to happen in way of rumors. So you seed the setting with some interesting a feeling of motion. Here's what you hear. Scuttlebutt is something went wrong at White and Associates recently, and they are looking to clean up a mess. You're not clear what went wrong, what the mess is being cleaned up, but it seems like there's a lot of interest in White working with outside agents as of yet. It seems that there has been a change at. I'm trying to think here. There was a death, because of the death at Nawaddle, the CEO dying. There's been some fairly fundamental changes in how the Buckknife clan has been operating as of yet, and whenever there's changes, that doesn't necessarily stabilize. So there could be some things in flux at the Buckknife Society right now. And speaking of, rumors are that there is a bit of trouble brewing between the Lethe clan and the Buckknife Army, because the Buckknife Army, instead, is a very neighborhood-focused thing, and it seems to be moving beyond its area. Not necessarily into an area controlled by the Lethe clan, but one that they would, through proxies, think that they have control over. You also... Oh, when is that one? Nawaddle LLC is building up armies, and you've heard that there's rumors of the Rifle Society. Some are suggesting that because of the more direct approach that Nawaddle has as opposed to White and Associates, that it might be a better fit for the overall Rifle Society. So Nawaddle is definitely taking on people, but you hear that might lift. There may be a big shift between the two corporations if the Rifle Society leaves White and Associates and takes on at Nawaddle. And I'm just trying to find what the final one is, because I cannot read my handwriting. That's one. Here we go. There's also rules in it for creating like rival or associated operator teams and a mechanic for when they're on run. So like you can set up your campaign so you could have like 3 teams operating at once, and there's mechanics for resolving how the other 2 teams, how their job went, which is, I think, has a lot of potential for some pretty cool unexpected developments in a campaign. Okay, that's Megacorps, that's gangs. Schemes, here we are, guys. I just can't read my handwriting on it. It is... You also hear that Typhoon Services, Typhoon Sciences is maybe in keeping with their ideal. There is a huge push in recruiting and benefits. Life working at Typhoon Sciences, notwithstanding the civil war going on between the factions in that corporation, seems to be on the upswing for some reason. People are getting bonuses and getting promotions and getting all sorts of perks and shit like that. Pete, you particularly would be aware of that now. With the amount of folks that suddenly have a lot more disposable income. Susie, you probably see a lot of them more at, if you're hanging out at the Roman Forum, you're seeing a lot of them there, blowing money and otherwise just, showing off wealth to one another and to other corps. So, that's sort of what is going on right now. What do you think that Pete and Susie, obviously you are at the vicissitudes of the unmerciful or unsympathetic currents in Fogtown and in the world in general. But do Pete or Susie have some goal in mind? Something they want to do? Or are they just scrambling day to day?
This is always the long-term goal of getting out of here and making enough money to retire peacefully, which probably will never happen, but so I think we would want to do in the meantime. Maybe establish ourselves, seeing as we're, level 1, maybe establish ourselves more as sort of make our name for ourselves, become more go-to people for more high-paying missions instead of just getting sort of the cast-off riffraff that is offered to everyone. Maybe, as Susie, you mentioned earlier, sort of maybe becoming more of an elite operative, someone who can have a better mention somewhere. Maybe that would be something we'd be as the two of us looking at establishing ourselves.
Yeah, maybe. I guess I would like to get away from dealing with White and Associates, because I've been doing that too long, and they're all bastards, and I'd quite like to fuck them up as I leave, but without getting killed in the process.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming you're gone by now. Like, you don't have a steady paycheck, you don't have a steady employer. That's the X in the X corporate security element, but I can understand you wanting to get back. And I wanted to suggest something too, James. Tell me if you think this makes sense. That Susie may have thought of herself as real hot shit, right? Like, you were thinking, like, I'm fucking like elite shit. And then you met one of the elite people and you're like, oh, fuck. It's like someone who plays in a small pool, then suddenly getting to see someone who's world class on that, and you're like, oh. Do you think that may have played into?
Yeah, it could be that. But I'm just thinking that even if you are not on the payroll, you're still somewhat tainted. Well, no, I suppose the whole setup is that people move from one to the other, but still, maybe the other corporations view me as somewhat tainted by association.
Is she looking for a corp job again? Just a more high positioned one, or is she enjoying freelance work?
No, well, maybe that's it then, to your point. She wants to get to be one of the elite stuff, but she doesn't want to do it for White, even though that's where all her jobs previously came from.
One, it's almost like the there's that saying in academia about, like, you'll never teach at a better school than when you do your grad studies. and it's sort of that thought of you're never going to get promoted up in the ranks, or at least you don't maybe think that that's the way. It's people who have come in as laterals. That's where the real, the real money is to be made, or at the very least, they don't see that value in you. Then let's, among the 3 fixers that are in Fogtown, Minika, Cesar, and Shen, which of those do you think each of you gravitates towards?
I think for Pete it would be Shen, because he pays well, and while there might be all sorts of outside of the city entanglements, it at least from the missions he's maybe heard of or has been on, they're not that bad. Delivering food to someone's office and not being seen, or talking your way into somewhere, or making sure a box arrives at just the right time. That doesn't involve guns or knives or being shot or things like that. So I think Pete likes that. It pays well and isn't as dangerous as some of the jobs Susie has told him about, where it's all like guns and detonations and screaming and running for your lives.
Yeah. And what about Susie?
I would say that because maybe one of the recent jobs was, the one to do with Fiametta Crucioli was somehow involved with Minika, and so that's what he had recent contact there. So maybe he's hoping for something else.
Okay.
She's hoping for something else.
Okay. So then, where do you think, if we were catching up with our operators heading out, to meet up, to then go to a meet with one of the fixers, where will we see your your operators coming from?
The Roman Forum. You think that's our usual hangout, Susie?
Yeah, absolutely.
It feels like a place
I can
where
catch some free drinks.
Probably the place where Pete has worked in the past.
Yeah. Well, and I think with Susie, you've got a reasonable standing tab there as gratitude. I mean, no, above the bar kind of stuff. But you're, whatever things on tap that you want to enjoy, you're welcome to that. And Pete, you have actually some cash left, so you could spend there, but you're also, good eye candy for the bar as well. So it probably doesn't mind letting you in, and you know how to behave yourself. So if that's where you are heading for, your evening, where would we see you leaving from? Where do you guys think you live? Is it one of these massive slabs? Is it, some other, like a tiny overlooked apartment building that happens to now sit in the shadow of these massive habitats? The flop house.
He probably lives in one of those sort of smaller buildings that has been just absolutely shadowed, no sunshine ever. But it'll be above Rosalind's shop.
Okay. Yep.
He'll have gotten it as part of the fencing and building a connection with her. So maybe one of her relatives lived there and then moved out or passed away, and he's sort of jumped at the opportunity. So it's small. It's not great, but it's sort of his, and it's slightly out of the way. And you have to go past the shop and up a back alley to get there. So it's also somewhat secluded. So I think that's where he would live.
Okay. What do you think Rosalind looks like?
I imagine her as being a sort of slightly indeterminate American, European, maybe a lot of sort of mix in there.
Yep.
Slightly older. Was probably known as Black Rose back in her younger days, and she sort of settled down and somehow managed to get the shop. There's probably lots of competing stories about how she got the shop. But so maybe similar to Dominique, I would see maybe the opposite of Monica, where she's sort of proudly wearing her age.
Yeah.
And sort of gracefully, obviously her younger days are behind her, but she's carrying it well, and still has like a fondness for waves and strays like Pete, which is why we get on so well.
Okay, love it. And what about Susie Q? Where do you think she is laying her head?
Yeah, as you said, one of the hab blocks, but with overdue rent, I guess. It's
Okay. Yeah.
But the landlord is wary of trying to collect too hard on it.
Yeah. It's like a busted lock for where you had, broke it open when it was sealed due to overdue rent. So, I think we'll assume that Susie, you're going to meet up with Pete and head on over to the the Roman Forum. So one of the neat things about the game too is that it when you're on mission, there's two mechanics that are interesting. One of them is a reaction countdown, so you can set like what's going to happen, because it sort of similar to the old school version of tracking in turns, and similar to the exploration mode in Pathfinder 2. Once you start a mission and once you've triggered a certain thing, you can set for each mission a countdown of what's going to happen over the course, or what is likely to happen. So, like, in the example one are like security patrols might start moving after 1 minute, after 3 minutes, civilians finally start reacting, hiding if there's danger, all the way up to like 20 minutes in, if the alert's still not resolved, corp-sponsored law enforcement begins arriving along with heavy firepower. And different tasks, they give you the minutes it takes to do different things, like to search a room, to hack a computer, to do whatever. So it's kind of a cool, clear mechanic for tracking the ticking clock of a heist. And the other thing was to track time in the broader scale for moving across city and stuff like that. So if you could take the same mechanic and be tracking how long it takes you to bop, back and forth across your city, your version of the city, I should say. All right, but that's not what I'm looking for. Is it? No. Sorry, some of the Without Worlds or Without Number games have NPCs and stuff on the inside. This has gear on the inside of the book cover, so that is helpful. Okay, now, Susie, you are making your way over to, what do you think the Rosalind's shop is called? Is it called the Black Rose?
Yeah, I would imagine. She definitely named it after her younger days, and so as a slight homage and a wink and nudge. Like
Black Rose Boutique, or is it just simply Black Rose or Black Rose Shop?
I think just the Black Rose.
Okay.
She's not too keen on tying down what exactly her shop is, so anything boutique or shop or anything. It's more like slightly more nebulous. Truly
embracing in the name the kind of like, big city bodega vibe of like, why the hell are there screws for sale in here? All right. Fine. So you're heading over to the bodega, Susie. Do you have any plans for, or you have any idea of what Susie might be doing? She kind of wait for work to come to her, or she chase it down when necessary?
I guess she'll have to go chase it down too. Now, money is running low.
Okay.
So she may go on hit on this
Minika.
Minika. Yeah.
Would you give us what is your charisma modifier? I think it's probably +0, right?
0.
Yeah,
yep,
okay.
0.
So would you give us a 2d6 roll, please?
I'll just run this.
Okay.
Since that kind of works. Another Stella.
Yeah. Now would you give us a 1d8 roll? So for some reason, Minika lately she's not been hostile towards you, but she has been distinctly unfriendly. To the point where she just keeps wanting to shut you down. That doesn't mean that you can't deal with her, but something's happened in the last little bit where she is just like, you've been maybe trying to shoot her message over, leaving like text messages or whatever the SMS equivalent is in our Cyberpunk setting, and she just has not been responding and like finding reasons to go elsewhere in the forum. So something's going on there. Pete, would you likewise give us a 2D... Oh, your modifier for charisma is +3, right?
Yes.
So give us a 2d6 +3, please. Roll. Ooh. So maybe it's because of the newness of the relationship, or maybe it's because... Oh, actually, hold on. Give us a 1d... give us a 2d8 roll. Let's see here. Okay. The picture I use is from Shadowrun, and obviously you're not an elf in it, but I think it's a cool illustration for the guy too.
Yeah.
The character seems to be Asian or mixed race Asian. Do you think that's what Pete is?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you get from this, because I was rolling, you've been trying to get Shen to warm up to you, and right now Shen is he's been very open to some of the shall we say, gratuities that you've been giving towards them. Any money you've fed to try and open the door for work with him has been well expected. But you're beginning to think that there is... like, that's being balanced against something that he's not crazy about. And that, unfortunately, is... he's apparently racist as fuck. So it's not an impossibility, and he's definitely like on a transactional level, but he's not buddy-buddy with you the way that seemingly most other people are. But you got that there. So
I do like a challenge.
Heck yeah. So, Susie, we see you walking, you've made your way through the streets. It's like we see here, but almost completely filled with fog. The particulates, I have no idea how much a respirator costs, but let's see here. But if assuming you don't have one as of yet, do you just like tie a rag around your face or something like that for walking around?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're wandering around through the streets and you're walking, making your way into the Black Rose to collect Pete. What do you think? What would Susie see in here? Is it sort of like every bodega we've seen in a episode of Law and Order, where it's just full of random stuff with mismatched shelves and stuff like that, or is it more of a advanced, kind of modern, like cyberpunky kind of thing with like holographic displays and stuff like that, TV screens playing in the background?
No, I think it'll be more old-fashioned. But some of it is probably a front, so to sort of lull people into false sense of security. So it's all like with skew, and people go like, "Oh, there's so quaint. There's no neon lights flashing everywhere," and displays like that. So they maybe let their guard down a bit, and then if you ask for like the off-menu items, and a lot of other things are available from the fencing menu. But yeah, so it's like a bit of a quaint sort of place where you would look in and go like, and not pay too much attention unless you know what you're looking for.
Okay, so Susie, why don't you give us a notice check, please?
Okay.
I think it's called notice in this game.
Yeah.
Okay.
My character sheet disappeared.
I do like how all the skills are essentially verbs.
Yeah, it's quite smart that way.
Shoot, stab, notice, know.
Yeah.
More good rolls.
More good rules. So there isn't, in the rules as written, there is not a narrative meta currency. I can tell you, if we play this on a regular basis, I would for sure make use of one, because it's something that I like playing with in most games. In which I was actually thinking, when I was walking Anna last night, like, I think sometimes I like giving the narrative meta currency a proper, thematic name to it. That's where Astonishing Fortune came from originally. And I was thinking, like, do you think like cool or edge, or what is the appropriate name for a cyberpunk narrative meta currency? Attitude? That sounds like a cologne from the 90s, but which may be appropriate to the cyberpunk genre, but
ice. Not edge, because it's used again, right? It's got another meaning.
Oh yes, it has another name in the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, so why don't we say, let's say you got 3 points of cool for re-rolls for today, if you want. We'll treat it like Savage Worlds.
Okay, let's just try one out.
Okay. So what you can see, Susie, in your experience, you have seen a difference between people loitering around. There are homeless folks out here too. People who are, likely not going to outlast their 30s, because living outside in Fogtown in this fucking weather is awful. So you've seen people who are just street folks, and you can see folks who are casing a joint. And there seems clearly that there is someone who is casing the joint for Black Rose. There's not a lot around here. This is sort of like the sole relatively small place in amongst a bunch of massive. In a big city, it's the odd church that's left over, right, where there's skyscrapers on other sides or whatnot. That's sort of what this is. There may be an empty lot, or a lot filled with some other stuff that makes up the rest of the sort of the municipal footprint for Black Rose's place. But you can definitely see across the street there is someone who is clearly hanging out and is casing the joint, or otherwise surveilling. You may see maybe some high-tech goggles that no homeless person would ever be able to afford. Unless you... Oh, and one thing I'll remind you guys too, because it's something because we play a lot of fantasy settings, you guys have smartphones. So please feel free to take advantage of anything you can do with your smartphone. You can do as characters as well. I don't believe either of you guys have like data jacks, so there's not the kind of, like quasi-telepathic, internet communication, but you can assume you've got like earbuds and shit like that as well. Anything that the average college student has nowadays, I'm fine with you having.
But then basically we're going to be communicating by WhatsApp and memes.
Exactly. Roll for meme.
I'll note down a large selection of cat memes in my list of assets.
So you see, Susie, what do you make of it? I think it's an open secret to you what Rosalind runs here.
Yep. So, can I recognize anything about these guys? Have I seen them before in my?
So the notice roll was not bad. So maybe give us a no check, and I'll grant you a +2 to it because of your military, your corporate security background. Fucking awesome.
Nice.
And you know what it is those, you have worn almost identical things. It's obviously not branded, and it's obviously not like, it's not labeled with them, but whoever the fuck is waiting there, they are most definitely either corporate security or very close associates of White & Associates.
Okay.
That is the kind of tech you've worn before. The guy's got a... you say guy because the person stands probably about 6'2", full poncho on, the kind of thing that is innocuous to wear in Fogtown, but also is a really helpful way of moving around with more substantial armor or with weaponry concealed underneath there.
Right, so I guess I will open my smartphone.
Okay.
And
so now hold on. Are you? Ooh,
I'll be over the other side of the street, right?
Give us a luck save. Because this will help us determine whether it'll be on the top. There are different saves listed on the top.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, what I was wanting to know is whether or not you noticed the guy before they likely noticed you. And it seems like you've seen them, but you sort of, from where you are now, you're in the light. So, in the light of the Black Rose sign, or perhaps the storefront. So, you know that if you stop and then kind of walk off into the shadows, they're likely going to guess that. But you could try,
I'll just keep walking and keep walking down the street and head away from the place as if I'm good, just doing my thing.
So why don't you roll is it sneak?
Well, I'm just trying to bullshit, right? I'm just trying to...
Right, but what the outcome of your luck roll told me is that you're not lucky enough to make it to easily just keep on going. You've clearly veered in, and you're trying now to go back, and we're going to see how convincing that was for you. And it is... Sneak, yeah. Pretty good. All right, so you go staggering over, and your smartphone is out in your hand. You can, find if you want to have a bud in to be able to make calls without bringing the phone out, or...
I'll do that. So, to say. You've got some white associate heavies outside.
Who are you calling?
Pete.
Pete, okay, so Pete, what do we see you doing in your room?
I think Pete is standing in front of a mirror and sort of making sure his tie is just right, and he's just like, and then he has the phone starts ringing. He's like, oh, and then he just hits the button. He's like, yeah, I know I'm running late. I'll be right down. Just give me a moment.
Okay. It's do we need to warn your friend? Looks like something's going to go down soon.
Well, he doesn't know. He just answered the phone and said, yeah, he knows he's running late.
Oh, right. But, but there's some heavies outside. Outside the bodega. White associate heavies. They look like they're serious.
I assume they're not here for you, given your past dalliances?
Nope.
As you're walking along the street, you kind of look back and you can tell they're still focused solely on that. If they have your face on file still, they don't seem interested in it.
Despite my elite status.
You're like,
You're a little wounded. How do they not know how much of a badass I am? Come on.
Do you think they're here for Rosalind?
I didn't get a chance to chat.
Yeah, but I should definitely warn her. I'll warn her, and then I'll meet you at the forum down the street. What do you think is best? You're more of an expert in this.
Or maybe we can get into the bodega through the back. I presume since we've been there enough that we know the back entrance. So I'll wait for you to turn up.
You're waiting on the street for him?
Well, I'll tell him where I am, but I'll just go around the corner, so out of sight.
Yeah, so you've got yourself in the corner, and then Pete, why don't you give us a luck save? Nat 1.
Woo!
You do have 3 cool, so you could re-roll that if you like, but it's a 25% chance. Let it roll. Okay.
Yeah.
So Pete, you go to the back door. You're not telling Rosalind what's going on?
can I get into the shop from the apartment?
Yeah, I'm kind of picturing that,
go
like,
back and then go to.
The way you described it, I'm kind of picturing. You tell me if I got this wrong. That you kind of go into the bodega, so you'll always kind of see her going in, and she buzzes you into the stuff above there. She probably lives in part of it. You probably live in part of it.
Yeah, because on my way out to meet up with Susie, well, if she's there, I'll.
Yeah. You can assume you've got her on some app as well too, if you want to communicate with her that way. But
I won't talk to her. Like in case someone is watching and can see into the bodega, so it doesn't see me interacting with her. I'll as I make my way downstairs, I'll message her to say, Rosalind, not sure if this is for you or for me, but there's apparently some heavies outside.
Says what? She kind of walks over to where she's got a couple of, a bunch of different monitors, all mismatched, and it's different, places. Some of it is that like kind of grayed out security footage of the store and the inside. She throws a couple of buttons, and it goes to IR cameras that are mounted on the outside of the building. And why don't you give us, let's see here. So I'm looking at the different NPCs they got listed in here, which are pretty helpful. So she is... Yeah, let's use this. Would you give us a 2d6 plus 3 roll, please, Pete? Wow. All right, so she flicks the stuff, and you can quite clearly see someone is in a poncho, quite clearly has those goggles on, right out where Susie had suggested. Right across the street, kind of in a one of the up against some of the wall that makes up one of the big habs that's on the other side of the street. And then you also can see that in the sort of the scrap-filled backyard or the rest of the lot where her thing sits on, she goes around there too. It's a good thing you didn't just walk out the back, because it looks like there's 3 members who are all dressed in a similar way. One of them obviously has some kind of submachine gun or small barrel rifle up, as if ready to do something nefarious. And probably one of these things, because it's such a good roll, she's activated. There's probably like a kind of a roaming drone that she's got over that sort of like, so she can see what's going on in the thing, and you can see down there. So there's at least one in the front that can be seen, and there are 3 in the back.
I will ask her, anyone you recognize, Rosalind? Anything?
She's looking in.
For you or for me?
Well, that stuff all looks new. I'm going forward on her 13 roll here. That looks new. And it looks corporate. She looks for you or for me?
Last I checked, I hadn't pissed off anyone at Voids and Associate. Pete will take a screenshot of the presumably quite sort of grainy, cyberpunky camera screen and send it to Susie.
Yeah.
I go like, Suze, any ideas? There's more of them.
Yeah.
Then come out back.
So you get this, Susie, and you're... what did you roll for your... Well, it was quite good, wasn't it? Yeah, your no is 11. So you get this, and you can see from the ones in the back, I think there is... there's a similar kind of markings that you can see, like there's brand new gear that's on here, and you can see there is, what is the one thing that gangs love to do to sort of show their presence, show their, their influence.
Tattoos? Bling?
Tagging things, most definitely. You can see, like, shaking your hand, fucking poor discipline among this, because, yeah, the guy's been issued a relatively new weapon. You can see the fucking, like, tag of the Rifle Society has been carved into it. So clearly he had a bored moment with a combat knife and did this to whatever new shit they were outfitted with. That tells you a couple of things.
Top undercover.
Yeah.
So these guys must be pretty low ranking and low capability and have no decent leader either.
No, there's someone who's not... yeah. That also, knowing how Corps assign their assets, that probably also tells you something about what the priority for this, whatever they're up to, is. So
yeah, so it's intriguing because they're doing something fairly dramatic, but in a half-assed way.
So why would they be doing that in your corporate experience? Corps like to act as if they have endless amounts of money and endless amounts of assets, but you know for certain from experience that's not the case.
So we know that they're having something's gone wrong and they're trying to fix it, but they must be spread thin then.
Definitely.
So they don't know what they're off. They're lost a bit because they're not focused on one thing that they know is the solution. They're scattergunning the city to try and find the solution to whatever their problem is.
That sounds about
so
right.
It might be useful to find out from these clowns what it is.
There's also, I mean, this may be something that Pete, you would know. If Susie gives you sort of a running commentary of her assessment of these folks, there's a risk that comes, of course, with unseasoned troops going in to be asked to do something, and that is they may not have the discipline or the restraint that a more professional or capable team might demonstrate, which is a long way of saying they might shoot and ask questions afterwards.
That's awkward.
Yeah. Susie, from your knowledge of White and Associates, could they have literally misplaced something? Is this why they're lingering outside a semi-known fencing place? They're hoping that whatever they've misplaced turns up here, and then they're gonna go in all heavy and retrieve it?
Oh, no idea.
They could very well be.
Who knows what the problem is?
Yeah.
But
one thing you do know is that where there's problems, there's profit, potentially, and Rosalind is a fixer.
Okay. So,
what do you guys think?
So, ask Rosalind, is there anything that she's got going with the fight that could be? They're obviously, White and Associates are concerned about something. Has she heard anything about what might be the problem?
So we can assume you're getting kind of like feed from Susie on one side, and you're also in person with Rosalind.
Yeah,
so Rosalind's not hearing
yeah.
what Susie's necessarily asking.
Yeah, but I'll sort of translate it. I'll turn to Rosalind and like not meaning to pry, dear, but are you sure they're not here for you? You've not picked up anything. Someone has dropped something off that they shouldn't have, or Susie seems to think these are White and Associate heavies, and they've been in a whole range of mess, so things might get ugly.
Why don't you give us a talk check? at +2 because of your connection with Rosalind.
Don't put in the plus or the internet melts.
Yes, exactly. Holy smokes. So you look at her, and I think her eyes get bigger than I think you've seen them. She looks at you and says, PD, I think I may have made a mistake. And I think that's a good time to take our belated mid-session break. And then we'll come back.
You've lost. You're going to lose one of your connections.
So, for those listening at home, we'll be back in about 5 minutes, and then we'll see what happens next. Okay. You know, I'm gonna. I have it back. Okay. I'm gonna see if I can swap out your tokens very quickly here, because Susie's token is basically looking like she's playing Kilroy, and let's see here, remove. Anna agrees, and her actual illustration is pretty badass. And ditto, P, you got, you know, see your sharp dressed suit in yours. So there we go. Let me see if I can quickly.
You appear to be an elf as well, Street Pete.
Minor cosmetic affectation.
Yeah, cosplay surgery.
Let's see here. Oop. Go. And Susie's, they're doing something weird with the tokens. I tried just, because you know when you load just an image in, that they use just that. Apparently if you swap it out for a token, then just delete it, it apparently gives you the weird, like, what's going on here?
Ooh, that is pretty badass.
That is pretty badass. Pete. Oop. Squish you like a fucking Lego thing here. See here, I think that's about right. Yeah, there we go.
Now there you are, as part of your gear that you've got to carry around handcuffs with you. That tells us of your speciality.
It's tax deductible as a business expense.
And the furry ones are even more expensive.
Okay. And there's Pete, and there is...
I think actually I only have Armor Soak 2 from Reinforced
Oh,
Clothing.
right. You know what? I was thinking... Sorry.
Yeah, there's something else that adds. But I don't think so.
No, you're absolutely right. Let's see here. Oh, gonna make it. CCQ. Go. Once. And then soak. There we go. Not to suggest we're going to get into an altercation necessarily, but it is. Oh, I forgot to set the default. There we go. Okay, so Susie and Pete, I think you're a little. Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know why I was setting you as a square, but I've had to sort of resize you guys to get. I don't know what feature it is, because let me see what happens if I. No, don't do that. That's weird. Like if I. Yeah, if I. Huh. Anyway, all right, so Susie, you're outside. The choking miasma that fills up Fogtown is surrounding you. Pete, you are inside the Black Rose. There's maybe one customer or maybe like a couple that are, wandering around grabbing some stuff for. They seem like they've maybe had an early start to their evening, whether it's chips or drugs or booze. They're a little kind of like giggling to one another, which stands as a stark contrast to the ashen face of Rosalind, who seems upset that corporate security, or at least corporate mercs, seem to be outside of her place of business. What do you do?
I think Pete would say, well, we all make mistakes sometimes. Is this one we can fix? And can we fix it easily?
Oh, sorry, James. James saying that this one has high-pitched whine when I'm talking. We tried fixing that on the weekend. We thought we had fixed it. thought it was my gain. And I thought I had fixed that on the weekend. Apologies if it's still there, James, but I don't know. I can't hear it on my side, and I can't hear it when it's replayed. I understand that some folks are hearing that, but if I can't recreate it, then it's not really much I can do. So, what are you guys doing next?
Well, I will ask her. I think people wouldn't care too much about what the specifics is. Just say, we all make mistakes, but can this one be fixed, and can it be fixed easily?
She says, I got something here. It can't be found here. And she makes her way over to well, I guess no, she's probably not going to show it as of yet, unless you're proposing something to fix or something to do.
I think Pete's first reaction will be, it's not a person, is it?
No. But it is something that doesn't belong. And it's something that I think they want back.
Well, maybe Susie and I can help. Taking it somewhere less conspicuous, safer for everyone involved.
She says, if you can, but wherever that goes, till they get it back, if they get it back, they ain't gonna stop.
I assume there's a reason why we're not just giving it back.
From what I don't think they want it. If they know that you've had that, they may want to be sure that no one knows that you've seen it. She brings you in the back, and I think activates sort of like a primitive sort of AI, like a hologram for what do you call it? For for sales, like a kind of like a automated teller kind of thing. And what she brings in the back, and there is a security safe that she's got secured in her what was formerly an office quarters, under a pile of receipts and whatnot, and old tins of expired products. There is a safe. It's concealed behind a false front, but she brings it back, and what she pulls out is it looks like it is a plastic or maybe a carbon fiber cube. It's about yay big by yay big. You can give us a no roll if you like.
Okay.
You want to cool that?
No, I think Pete is a pretty face. He doesn't necessarily know things.
Yeah.
So, I think he would look at this and go like, it's a shiny cube. It looks nice on the side table. He'll stare at it just quizzically, like, with some kind of tech.
Something like that. It is a storage device. But for something very big. She pulls it out.
I think I'm still on the line to Susie, so I'll describe. I'll just brief her. Looks like it's an item that can be transported, Susie, if we feel up for it. I know you wanted to break with your previous associates.
Susie, you can give us a no check. It's gonna be a little harder difficulty for you, just because you can't actually. Oh no, you probably can see. You could. Pete could take a photo of it and send it to you. Yeah.
So no, right? No. So no modifier.
No modifier. No.
No modifier.
So I mean, there are all sorts of. From looking at the thing, you ask him to turn it around, and there's no obvious physical connection to this thing, and it seems to be one solid block. It's not unusual for White and Associates to secure certain, projects onto kind of like the Cyberpunk equivalent of external hard drives, where you've got something that can only be accessed with a certain Wi-Fi key or some kind of wireless key. If you don't have that, you either can't access it, or if you physically try and activate it, it just destroys whatever is within. That's what this probably is some kind of storage device for some kind of information. Now, whether that's a program or just corporate information or whatnot, you can't tell from seeing it, but you know that, if it is, I think you can likely infer the value that White puts on it, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what Rosalind tells you is that this was the retirement fortune. I knew it was risky taking this on, but the payoff would have been just too good, Pete. Now, the other option, they don't need to know that it's here. If you can't get it out, you just need to stop them from getting in.
But the problem here is, right, and I could say over that, if this group disappears, they'll know where they disappeared, so they'll just send more.
But by then, we cash out, and this is gone. She's looking almost pleadingly at you, Pete. There is another obvious option here. Like, this thing's not going to be... You can just destroy this thing. If it doesn't exist, there's nothing for them to look for. Though, they may want to have words with... If she has it, and she has had a potential of accessing it, they may want to have words with her about that.
Mm.
I'm sure they'll be nice.
Mm.
Especially the one with the machine gun.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
Susie, you're the expert on these sort of corporate merc shenanigans. Do you think we can take on 4 of them?
4 guys with machine guns? Yeah, sure. No, it's going to be problematic. I need to get up close, I suspect. But again, do we want to start a war with one of the corpse for the shenanigans of your friend? what's in it for us? Exactly.
I would assume a cut of the phenomenal retirement fund that this will allow Rosalind to have.
And you think Rosalind, we can trust her? We're going to bring the wrath of a corporation on our heads.
Yeah, she's always been good to me.
Close friend, is she?
Wow, didn't go that far.
Oh, Pete, you're so trusting.
No, I know. We can just destroy it. But it feels a shame to...
Or we need to know exactly what we get and how we get it. And how we get a guarantee on that.
It appears, Pete, 2 members of the team in the back are moving in.
I'll Susie, we have new customers joining the shop. I'm not sure we will have time to figure out the fine print on this retirement plan. So,
they're crossing the scrapyard and the small, what was once a back alley, to sort of stand on either side of the door.
I think it's almost go time. So, are we in? Are we out? Are we? I mean, I can just walk out of here.
You're definitely in. You are definitely in.
Yeah, but I can still make my way out.
I will head towards the back as well to sort of come up behind these other guys.
Okay. So
then you better come up with a plan, Pete.
If you want, what you could do is, because of her drone kind of camera or drone security thing that's going above, you could, in theory, use your smartphone to send to Susie's smartphone what's on the camera, so she could at least be aware of where the ones are. Are you intending to go to the back, Susie, or the front?
Yeah, the back.
The back. Yeah, so there's plenty of stuff to make your way around through back there, and what you can see, Pete, is that the one with the kind of either the smaller rifle or the submachine gun has positioned back, aimed at the door. The other 2 have moved in as if to try and prepare for a breach. So there is one left on their own. What are you guys doing?
So I'll try and get line of sight to this.
Sure.
The submachine guy at the back.
Okay.
And be able to observe him. But that means they're apart, so I'm going to struggle to take all 3. So my thought is probably to let them in.
There probably is a lot of cover back there, though.
Yep, so I'm going to be trying to get close to the guy at the back.
Sure. So... Ooh.
Without doing anything immediately.
Okay. So there is side-based initiative on this. So let's do this here. Who has a better dexterity score? Or dexterity bonus? I actually don't know if it's either of you. Yeah.
Yeah, +0.
+0, okay. Who's feeling lucky then?
Peters.
Okay.
Based on Susie's rolls, it ain't Susie.
Yeah, let me see here. I don't know what I've got loaded in here. Oh, that'll work. Huh. This does not quite match up with their armor, but a pretty good representation. Alrighty. So we need to set a bar for this one, and then we can cut and paste it. I'll make them a little smaller. There we go. So we've got the one on their own. We've got the two that have moved in. Oh, darn it. Two that have moved in on the back door there. One apparently slightly taller than the other. And there's the one out front. Okay. So, Susie. Pete, why don't you give us a D8 roll, please? Seven. Okay. Yeah.
8.
Oh, you got +1 to your dex?
No, he rolled an 8.
I rolled an
8. Oh, sorry, I was scrolled up. Forgive me. Great roll. I saw the 7 in that last result. All right, so you guys will be up first here. All right, so then, can't see if it you. I can't remember. In these games, you roll it once and then stick with it, right? You don't roll every round.
Yeah, I think it's fixed at the start.
Okay. All right. So then, Susie, would you give us a sneak roll, please?
Yeah.
And I'm rolling for the Oh, you want to cool that?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, bloody thing.
There you go.
Nice.
Susie, you are easily able to move yourself in to where are you thinking you're going to position yourself in relation to the one that is aiming at the door right now?
As close as I can get behind him.
Okay. So you'll be within like a step of him at this point. The fog is sort of, hanging in here heavily, and we can see you have positioned yourself directly behind him. And he seems completely unaware.
And I'll let my blades come out.
Pete?
The door where we can see the two of them about to breach, that leads into the shop, not the staircase up.
I think it probably leads into kind of like the back stairwell where probably like you can go up to the residences or you can go into the shop.
And Pete will look at Rosalind and say, do you have any hidey holes in here that I'm not aware of?
She sort of grins and says, what do you think?
Yeah, you make yourself scarce with the cube, and I'll try and stall these and hope that Susie deals with them.
She grabs it, closes the thing, and makes her way towards, I think, where there's a closet in the office. And what do you wish to do, if anything?
Pete will head out to the shop.
Yep.
To the counter and get behind the counter and as if he was working there.
Yeah, so
but you have one.
You make your way out and you can see that the two kind of tipsy customers are just making their way out of the store. They seem to have just paid. And you can see this holographic version of Rosalind saying, thank you, come again.
I'll try and switch that off, and then I'll stand behind the counter, and I'll have one hand on the counter, but the other hand will have my pistols just under the counter in case things go south.
Okay. So then on their turn, you can see the one guy who's aiming there. You can just barely hear... Oh, actually, Susie, give us a notice check. You don't have any cyber hearing or anything, but... Oh, and as a reminder, your gun link cyber enhancement allows you 1 free reroll of a gun attack. And because of your... I can't remember what it's called, a close combatant or something like that, you can use a pistol freely.
In melee, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you can hear him. You can hear through the kind of the mask a muffled communication from surely from someone else, because it's coming through on a internal mic, and it says, as soon as the customers are clear, go. And you can hear from the guy in front of you, Roger. Back to you guys. Who would like to go next?
I guess I will smack the guy in front of me.
Okay. Then, let's see, here we go. Combat. Because he is unaware, I'll give you +2 to hit him. And you can go ahead and make an attack whenever you're ready. Whoa. Yeah, so that is a solid hit. And you're tearing through the heavy composite armor that's on there, and there's nothing but flesh that's exposed right now. You haven't taken him down, but you have very badly damaged his armor.
Okay.
Okay. And let's see here. Sorry, I should have put a blue bar in each of them as well. All right, Pete, what are you doing?
I think I will hold an action in case... I think his aim is that if they come in, he'll try and talk them down, because that's what he does. He talks to people. But he'll hold an action in case he can tell they're about to just open fire, to just get his pistol out and shoot someone.
Why don't you give us a notice check as the door is open and the customers are leaving? Oh, you also have your enhanced reflexes too, Susie. So you get to take 1 extra action, I think.
Main action, yeah.
Yeah.
I was toying with smacking him a second time, but...
Okay. So
maybe that would be a good idea.
You want to do... your turn's not done yet, so you could go back and take that before we turn on thing. So, Pete, what you can see as the door is opened and the 2 step out into the fog for the briefest of seconds, because you knew he was there, you can see that one of the corporate members is lining up a shot right now, as directly at you.
I drop behind the counter.
Okay, you watch him. So you duck behind the counter. And then Susie.
Well, let's just use up my special power.
Let's see. Is it once per scene, or does it say?
I think it's... Where is it?
Cyber mods.
Once per scene, yep.
Once per scene, okay. So go ahead and make your second attack. +2 to hit. See if we can get a trauma thing. Oh! So that second one, that'll do the trick. Yeah, so I'm just going to shrink him down because that's my initiative tracker. Oops. There we go. All right. So you, what does it look like as you take this guy down?
Yep, so I stab him once and he reels, and then use both of them and just go drive straight through him.
Okay. And down he goes. Let me make a... Oh, I rolled incredibly well for them. Okay. So they're about to breach, and then they hear this kind of scream over the mic. So the first thing that happens... Let me move this guy up. This is the one at the top there is going to be the one at the front. First thing that happens is the two of them turn around. One of the ones that was at the breaching thing, they can hear you. The other one could not. Nope, the other one has heard you now. The other one of them heard you when you took the guy down. He looks back. What is your AC? It's like a 16, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, so +2 from cover. It's 18 I need to hit you. Nat 1. He's firing away. Bullets are flying around you. And in the flash of it, he's actually lost track of you. So if you wanted to try and hide again, you could.
Yep, so I'll pull back into the shadows.
This is their turn, yeah, but on your turn, you can certainly do that.
I'll slip back in and draw my heavy pistol at that point.
Well, that'll be on your turn. This is still their turn.
Yeah.
So they're firing at you. One of them is trying to figure out where you are. The one at the front, you can hear it sounds like someone hit the front door with a sledgehammer. And the door sort of slams open. Clearly, the guy tried taking a shot through the glass, but you're thankful for Rosalind investing in ballistic glass for the front door. Because it slammed the door open, but it has not actually broken as of yet. Back to your guys' turn. Who'd like to go? James, sounds like you had a clear idea what Susie's doing next.
So I'm just going to pull back behind the corner and get out my my big gun.
Are you just taking full cover? Or are you trying to kind of reposition yourself?
No, I'll get behind and then I'll be able to draw my gun and ready to if the guy comes back to try and deal with me.
Okay.
So I will be around the corner and he'll have to step out.
Okay. Sounds good. Pete?
I think Pete will try and, staying low on the ground, make his way over to the front door and lock it.
Oh!
Unless Rosalind has some sort of panic button, lock the front door
so I think
behind the counter.
Yeah, it'll be a notice check to find a panic button. It'll be... And what do we think here? Exert, I think, is the skill I'm thinking of. Let's see.
Yeah, that's sort of physical.
That's sort of the athletics all-purpose thing, I think. Yeah, it'd be exert to get to the door in time to lock it up. What are you thinking?
I think he'll try and get the door locked.
Okay. Why don't you give us an exert check, please?
Strength-based?
Strength-based, yeah. Your dealer's choice for you. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't really make any difference. It's the same modifier for all of them.
Okay. So you could cool that if you like.
I think in this case he will try and cool that.
Okay. Three or a 2. Okay. I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. All right. So you're making your way over. I'm going to give you cover for this, but I think knowing that a shot will knock the door open, as you're running towards it, he's going to try and knock the door open and hit you with automatic fire while that's going on. All right. So Susie, these two are going to split up. And one is walking around one side. They're trying to flank you, basically. One is walking around one side of whatever cover you're using, and the other one is walking around the other one. They're not going to be able to get to you, but you can hear them moving, one to one side, one to the other side. And then the one that is firing at you, Pete. Let's see here. That's a miss, but I'm going to trigger his gun link for the day. Oosh. That is 18 plus 3, so 21 total.
AC's 13.
AC's 13. Okay. Oh, and I got to roll trauma then. All right. Trauma dice is... So I did roll well enough for roll 6. So this is going to be times 2 damage.
Not going to be so pretty after this.
No, not the face.
Oh shit! Come here. All right. Oh. So that's 12 points of damage. So with the 2 plus your 10, all it means is you're mortally wounded.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well,
Apart
you got
from that,
six rounds until he dies, and as long as someone uses a trauma pad on him. So you're racing over there, Pete, and then the gun just kind of go off. It blasts the door open, and you are hit, and you're on the ground. Grateful that you had your armor, your what do you call it? Armored clothing on. But fuck, you can't breathe, and all you're seeing is stars. That's it for them. Susie, what are you doing?
I will then, now I've got my gun out and all the rest of it, I'm just going to come round the corner, gun firing into the guy.
Okay. So he has ready in action. So you got a 16 AC. That's a 15, so I'm going to use his gun sight or gun link. Cybernetics. That's a miss as well. So they're just narrowly missing you because of just how fucking fast you're moving, Susie. This thing's firing at you, and you go racing in to one of them.
Yep. So I will.
Hold on.
No modifier. Just shoot the guy.
One sec. There is. You might have a modifier because if you're planning on using, you can actually use both because there are rules for using 2 weapons. And with the armor these guys have on, that might be a prudent way. Dual weapon wielding. You must have at least 1 in the relevant combat skills. So I think one of yours is a 0, though, right?
Shooting is 1.
Shooting is 1. Okay, then. Yeah, you'd have to have 2 pistols out, then, if you're going to do that. But
yeah, and I guess I don't have 2 pistols.
so you can't dual wield, so ignore me. All right, so you go racing over. Go ahead and make your attack roll. 19... That is okay. So that is your shots are
That's
just ricocheting off. Yeah, you could cool that, I guess.
Can I not? Did I hit him? Because then I can re-roll a gun miss.
Oh no, that's a miss altogether. But yeah, you can use your gun link too.
Okay, so I'm going to do that.
Okay. Nice. That is a solid hit. Oh, it would be better if the trauma die came up better, but that gets through the armor and hurts him a bit. Oh! And I should have rolled for morale for them too. Because he's down to what from that first one. All right, and then you're moving fully into melee with him, right?
Yep.
Okay. Then it is their turn. Pete, you are bleeding out.
Yep.
And just so we know, so mortal wounds. Mortally wounded creature is helpless, unable to do anything than scream, writhe, or lie unconscious. So look, you got tons of options there.
This round I will scream in pain.
Good. Oh boy. Would you give us a 2d6 roll plus 3? 2d6 plus 3 roll, please. You, in your haze, what I rolled for was a reaction roll. Turns out Rosalind didn't make it down into there. You can see out of the corner of your eye, she's sort of like coming around the corner of the from the door that leads into the back, shotgun in hand, and is running in your direction. Now, the guy, there's another rule that is in the without numbers game, James, that is different from D&D. There's a thing called shock in the game. If it only comes up in melee, But it basically is, even if you miss when you're in melee, if they don't have an armor class equal to whatever the shock score is, then they automatically take some damage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just because, like, if you're not wearing armor, it's tough to defend yourself without taking any kind of hit, from, say, a blade or whatever. So
Yeah, I'm lucky I can ignore shock damage. So.
Yeah. Well, and also you have a 16 AC for melee as well. So you have to be using a pretty serious weapon. Most things have like 15 or less or 13 or less. So, okay, this thing comes in then. Now, for shooting in melee, again, for those listening at home, apologies, I have not run this before.
You can only use handheld as in one-hand weapons.
Okay, so I can. And is there a penalty for using pistols, or can you just not use pistols full stop?
It's suggesting there are penalties because it's saying you can use a pistol sized in melee without suffering penalties.
Okay.
So there must be a penalty here.
Yeah.
Where is
Traumatic
it?
hits. Okay.
-4. One-handed ranged weapons and thrown weapons can still be used, albeit at a -4 penalty.
Oh, -4 penalty. Okay.
Yeah.
So then. Oh, and it's a main action to ready or stow an action. So the guy that you're engaged with, he will make a fighting withdrawal. So he sort of like ducks to one side, hits you with the butt of the rifle, and then just withdraws from you. And then, is there a penalty for firing into melee?
Don't think so.
Okay. Oh yeah, and this one there's a snap action too. So actually, that readied action when I was shooting at you should have taken a -4. You can't just ready an action and take it like a normal attack. It's because you're acting in such a quick fashion, -4 to hit. That's cool.
Ooh.
Okay. Well, it plays into the sort of dramatic of like, someone racing out towards you. It's not going to be as easy of a hit. I like that. Okay. So then that one runs out, and then the other one is going to fire at you. So gunfire, that is a 16 just on the nose. Yeah. Roll trauma. You have a 7 trauma, no trauma. So then it is just 8 points of damage though. So 5 from your armor and then 3 from you.
Okay.
Then it is your turn. Pete, you can feel yourself getting stabilized by Rosalind. And I think as she's running over, you can see the shutters that sort of go down when the place is closed, shoo, 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 have gone down now. And Susie, what would you like to do?
I should probably have stayed with my body blades, but since I've got my gun, I better use that instead.
You have both out.
Okay, well, I will then stick it in the guy's face.
Okay, so you race back into melee with this guy, and go right ahead. His armor is open now, by the by. You want to cool that?
Yeah, I'll reroll that. No.
Ugh, not quite.
That wasn't cool.
Not quite good enough. Okay, this is down to 0. All right. We are engaged again. Then it is their turn once again. The one outside is doing something. How long does it take to stabilize?
I think it's an action.
Okay. And
Requiring one main action. So either a int heal or dex heal check.
Okay. Why don't you give us a 2d6 plus 3 roll? This is not the first time that she has... Not that round. All right. Because it's a 8, isn't it, for stabilizing?
It's 8 plus the number of rounds you've been down for.
Oh, so it's 9 right now. Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's trying to stabilize you, but you are pretty messed up. The two that you're engaged with, the guy that you're fighting, Susie, he pulls a combat knife out. The other one... Let me see here. I'm just trying to see if there's any penalty for firing into melee. I don't see one. Yeah, it's just only if... Okay, so they are going to fire at you. That is a 3, so that is not good enough. All right. Back to you guys. Pete, you want to make the roll for Rosalind? The 10 she's looking for now.
Come on, Rosalind.
There you go. Stabilized. Susie.
I will try and perforate this guy again.
Go right ahead.
Oh,
Fuck. Do you have any cool left?
nope.
Last 15 minutes of the session. Let's say you have cool left. Why not? Fuck it. I want to see a trauma go off. There you go.
There you go. Yeah, nice.
You've also triggered the trauma, which means that's 18 points of damage. What's it look like as you eviscerate this guy?
Yeah, I'll just stab him straight through the throat, and that's it.
Okay.
Nice.
So you're firing at him, and maybe that was just to sort of blind him so you could get in and he's stabbed in the throat. Give us a 2d6 roll, please. Okay.
Totally on average.
You can hear someone's crying out over one of the downsides, to fighting a gang member is that, like, if these guys were all part of the Rifle Society, then they all know each other and grew up together and came up in the ranks. So this one's more inclined to keep fighting, it seems. You bitch!
Okay.
Then, on their turn, so she's going to once again keep firing at you. That is a 15. It's a miss. Pete, you're stabilized now. Something's going on in the front. Susie, you're up again. What are you doing?
I will leap forward to the other person.
Yep.
In their armor and give it another shot with my blades.
Okay.
Yeah, too low.
Yeah, so you're... just double checking your armor. No, in melee, that's actually a hit. It's ballistic plate they're using, so that is... Look at your trauma roll, too.
And the trauma as well, so
Holy
24
shit.
damage.
What's it look like as this one goes down?
Yep, again, I go for the neck and they stagger back, clutching at blood spraying everywhere.
Okay.
Your
Down they go.
blades are terrifying.
What? All right, so then you can hear, maybe your adrenaline's just pumping right now, but you can hear over the comm, over Pete's comm, you can hear Rosalind's voice saying, "Pete's down. Susie, Pete is down." Let me make a... Okay. Susie, what are you doing? You look around and you can see that all three of these chumps are all down.
Right, now I'd heard the other guy was coming down the alley behind me, right?
You haven't heard
Because they were
that...
looping round me, weren't they?
You're not sure what's going on from the guy at the front. There was three in the back. You've killed all three right now. You could pick up as well. A submachine gun does 1d8 1d6 trauma dice, so it's a smaller trauma dice than your thing, but it can be fired in a burst mode, getting +2 to hit, +2 to damage.
Okay, well, I'll grab that and then scuttle towards the front of the building.
Okay. Are you trying to, by scuttling, are you trying to be sneaky?
Yeah.
Okay. Go right ahead and give us a sneak check then, please.
Not very good at it.
It's not terrible. To be honest, you also have a benefit of the darkness too, unless they've got thermographic vision or something like that. So you reach the side, and why don't you give us a notice check? It's a little bit of a cat and mouse thing going. Okay. What you briefly catch a glimpse of from looking at from the far end of the alleyway, a poncho-wearing figure racing down the street, runs past the alleyway and seems to be running off. If you carefully make your way, like combat advance your way down the alleyway to the end and look down, well and truly lost. He's gone.
Right. So, with that, I will swiftly run back inside to find Pete.
Okay. So with that, you're probably, by run then, Pete, is when you're going to be coming to. This is about 10 minutes to put you at 1 hit point. You guys would gain back, because we're out of that combat scene, your armor's soak value. So, Pete, what does Susie see as she comes back in?
I think Pete would be lying on the floor, a bloody mess, but sort of grabbing some sort of mirrored item from one of the many shelves in Rosalind's shop, and just sort of like making sure the face is okay. And just like,
fortunately, it's in the chest, not in not the face.
Yeah. It's like one glass jar. It's like, oh no. I just look up like, are you okay, Susie?
Yeah, I'm fine. No, well, yeah, I'm sort of somewhat blooded, but
yeah, I think they can do.
Yeah, I'll say I'm fine. It's a scratch.
Just out of curiosity, let's see. I don't know why I put a D in curiosity, but let's see. I'm curious how long it takes you. I saw there was first aid you could perform, in addition to. Here we go. First aid. By spending a few minutes tending an ally, a medic with a med kit can heal 1d6 hit points of damage on a target plus their heal skill level. She is a +3 to heal. No, sorry, +2 to heal. +1 from the stat. So why don't you give us, each of you guys, 1d6 plus 2.
Should manage to get 3 with that.
Whoa! So you are back patched up now. One thing that does happen though is when every application of this that you do, you gain a point of what's called system strain. Mm-hmm. System strain goes down by 1 every day unless you've got permanent strain from cybernetics. If your system strain exceeds your constitution score, I believe, that's when very bad things happen.
Yep, so I've still got 7 to go. Okay.
So you're patched up. What is our closing scene for our first kind of foray into the, what do you call it? Into the cities without number?
See the 3 of us scuttling out into the rain. A package covered in a cloak, a coat underneath Pete's arm. I don't trust this rustling lady.
Yeah. Now, what you be?
Yeah, I think maybe I have it in the fancy suitcase I'm wearing in the picture. So I put it inside. I won't have would have handcuffed the suitcase to my arm. I know that just ends in tragedy.
Yeah. How badly do you want a cybernetic arm?
Ooh. I did it be him sort of following Susie and maybe sort of glancing around nervously at every sort of dark side alley they pass and every sort of shadow in case more of these goons show up. He's probably definitely a bit, and he's still feeling frail and has a frail condition, so his life is still quite in a lot of danger.
So that, guys, for the fast leveling mechanics of Cities Without Number, using that track instead of the slow leveling, you successfully defended the package and got away with your patron, Rosalind, intact. That means you'd hit level 2.
Woo!
So that would mean for both of you another D6. What do you call it? Another D6 hit points. Susie would get +1 to hit, and so you'd have a net of +2 to hit. Pete would get a +1 to hit. You'd each get 3 skill points.
Yeah.
Yep. You each get 3 skill points to add. Your saving throws would improve. And I think... Oh, at level 2, you also get to pick a new focus. Or a new edge. Wait, is that right? No, it's a new focus. So that...
Yeah, I think it's a new focus.
Yeah, or a new level in the focus. So that could be things like... You know, oh gosh. Like if, say, Susie wanted to get more badass at fighting, there's a focus called Arms Master. You gain an extra point in stab, and you can ready or stow melee or thrown weapons as an instant action, and you can add your stab skill level to melee or thrown weapon damage or shock damage. As an example, what you could take.
Yeah, or I could move my one up.
Or you could move close combatant to 2, which would give you shock damage from your melee attacks. Treat all targets as if they're AC 10. The fighting withdrawal combat action is treated as an on-turn action for you and can be performed freely.
Well, the other thing is at level 2 I can dodge through a melee scrum without fear of being knifed in passing.
So that there actually might be a difference, because that I used I don't know whether close combatant is different in Stars Without Number.
It's at the top text, so it's not. It's weird because it's not down in level 2. It's in the main text of it.
Ignore.
I think the main text just sort of narratively describes, and then the level bit puts it in.
It says you're extremely skilled in avoiding injury in melee combat. And at level 2, you can dodge through a melee scrum without fear of being knifed.
Yeah, and that's your fighting withdrawal for free. So as a free on-turn action. Yeah, you know, like the action that guy took to sort of get out of combat with you. You can do that for free every round if you took that.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. And then there is, of course, like a ton of great chatty skills. So this was a very scrambled together at the last minute, kind of thing. But with that in mind, what did you guys think of your first time playing for you any of the Without Number games, James, and first time with Cities Without Number for you, David? What did you guys walk away feeling?
Hey, it's good. I liked it a bit more than the usual 2d6, which can be a bit simple. I think having some cool points is a good idea, because otherwise it's 2d6 is very swingy, right?
Agreed.
The trauma thing, though, is very exciting, but it's a bit of a double-edged sword, right? It can happen to you.
Yeah, you really you have to definitely when you're, especially for some of the weapons that are larger weapons that have bigger trauma dice, like that's the rifles and whatnot, or even your heavy gun. Your heavy gun is a 1D. Your pistol had a 1D8 trauma, so it's not, a 6 or higher comes up often enough.
Yeah, and the my blades, for example, as well. They're not terribly fun for anyone because it's a trauma of D10.
Yeah, they're just terrifying.
And it's 2d6 plus 1 damage as well, so I mean it's just a nightmare.
Yeah. Pete,
which is very cool, of course, but you're going to be very careful about picking fights with enemies who have body blades.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's part of all of his game design, is that you're competent, even like Stars Without Number or Worlds Without Number, at startup, your single sword hit or a pistol blaster will possibly take you down, and that's part of him. It's very much like you're not meant to fight everything. You're meant to play it smart and decide when to pick your battles and decide when it's actually best to just leave Rosalind and the queue behind and then just cross the street and keep going.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of the thing I was interested in seeing with the fight. Like, you guys, to give context, you guys fought against enemies. Each of those enemies had 2 hit dice. Plus, they had armor, so they had the 5 things. So, like, they were really challenging adversaries.
Yeah.
Although I did take one to get down.
The thing about the leveling up is we wouldn't gain an additional d6. We would re-roll our hit points completely and roll 2d6. And if we roll below our current hit point total, we just add 1.
To
and
the
if we roll
total.
higher, it would be the new total. So it's very it keeps it very lethal, like sort of lethal, and keeps you on your edge even if you're level 8.
One thing that's interesting is the heroic mode that he has in Stars Without Number and Worlds Without Number. It's not in here. Wait, let me double check. It's not in the...
No, I don't think it is.
And humanity. Mixing. Yeah, because it's a slimmer... Okay, yeah, so it's not the heroic mode. What that is like, James, it basically makes it into much more of a high cinematic thing where you're operating under a different set of rules from what a lot of your adversaries are.
Right.
Yeah, it's an interesting set of rules. We've played with it a couple of times in different things. In Barrow Maze, at one point, we used Scarlet Heroes, which was the first time that in his games that he did that. But yeah. Well, so the world setup stuff, I generated, like, I selected a couple of things for, like, names and stuff, but even the names of corporations were prompted by those dice rolls.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it really, and I liked how you guys were diving into, fitting your characters in with the elements that we rolled for the setting.
Yes, that's what I really like about these, about his approach. It felt very easy to just like the prompts of, like, middle manager, this and that, and you go like, okay, so with my background, how would it fit into? Because you just focus on one district, a few corporations, a few gangs. You're not worrying about the whole setting, so it feels very much cinematic and sort of you're right in there. You can. Unpleasant for Fogtown, but tasty air almost, right, as you're sort of making these decisions. Yeah. No, it was fun rolling through the stuff before the session and seeing how certain things were kind of coming together. It's really a fun part of the setting generation that you play a part in with the game, and that's an ongoing thing too, because, like, depending on especially in a cyberpunk setting, it's a little less of the, like, constantly going to a new place and exploring new things. It's more like the people and the plots and whatnot.
Yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm. So, any closing thoughts on Cities? I should say, I running it so quickly and so much on, with as little prep as we did, I had a lot of fucking fun writing this.
Yeah, it was good. It's good fun.
Yeah, it was a great fun. I'm a big fan of all the Without Numbers games, and that would probably one of my sort of, if I had to pick one system to, if I was limited to one system, I'd probably pick Without Numbers because it's so flexible and easy to hack and straightforward to get into.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. And free. So,
Yep.
yeah. So then, for those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for this Cities Without Number thing. And again, for, what was his name again? Who said, thank you. James, I'm going to go through. I'm going to pull all my cables out and put them back in. I'm not sure if that's potentially an issue with the mic. If it's only coming from my side, I'll try and correct that. But I can't hear it and I can't replicate it on my side, so I'm having difficulty identifying what the actual cause of it is. So I apologize for any keening sound that people are hearing on this recording from my side. But we'll be back in. Actually, I'll be on vacation. I'm probably driving back because it's Canadian Thanksgiving 2 weeks from now. So we're probably not going to have a traveler session, but 2 weeks after that, we will be back in the Borderlands sector, back on Tech World, and we'll see what is happening there. But until then, as is always the case, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session, the game, or the quasi campaign, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I'll endeavor to reply in a timely fashion. There's also a link down below to the Dungeon Musings Discord server, where all of us are active, and channels are located there for, I don't think we have for this game necessarily, but for assorted games, we'll probably be talking about some of the Without Number games over there. And there are games, channels dedicated to most of the games we run on the channel. There's also a link down below to our friends at Noble Knight Games. I do not have an updated discount code yet, but there will be shortly on a new video. So if you come back to one of our more recent videos in the future after September 24th, I will have a discount code for you. Noble Knight Games is the preeminent unionized retailer of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs in North America. Not only do they have a terrific selection of new role-playing games, board games, and card games, they have an unmatched selection of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs. If you they don't have in stock something you're looking for, you can often put it on the want list, and then you will find a if you put it on a want list, they'll send you an email when it comes in stock. You can also find a link down below to the Heroes Save Villages campaign. That's the charity fundraising campaign we run on the channel. It benefits the SOS Children's Villages International Charity, a really amazing organization active in over 130 countries, benefiting over 80,000 orphaned and abandoned children, including, at the time of recording, ongoing relief efforts in Morocco. All donations through that link go directly to SOS Children's Villages International. None of it goes to the channel or any other middleman, just goes to help out those kids. And as a small way of saying thank you, voting is closed for our next charity session, but we have one more charity session left this year. And if you donated $10 or more since June 1st, 2023, head on over to the Charity Initiatives channel on the Dungeon Musings Discord server, and you will find an opportunity to vote on the final part of our 6-part Year of Ill Omens campaign. We'll have more about that in coming weeks, but next weekend will be our next charity session, so I will look forward to running that, where we'll be playing some Vikings using Steve Jackson's classic GURPS role-playing game, Universal role-playing game. The last thing I will say is an enormous thank you to our stalwart heroes. So, David and James, thank you so much for playing today, guys. This is really fun getting this game to the table. It's been I've run Stars Without Number like a handful of times, maybe once or twice, but I've never really had a chance to really... that was more like creating characters, and then we played for a little bit. This was the first time we played a full, proper session of it, so thank you very much, guys. And I love the fucking Cyberpunk setting, so yeah, thanks. So
Cool.
For those
Thank you
listening
very
at
much.
home, we'll be back soon. But until next time, we hope that we gave you a couple of hours. Take your mind off the troubles of our world and think about the troubles that our heroes, our operators, have uncovered in the city. And until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy gaming.